Well, welcome everybody to Rev Up for Success Radio, our exciting and positive show that is here every Thursday on the business day on Raven International Radio, the Positive Network. And I'm so proud to be part of that. And my guest today actually has been on this journey the whole time with me. Excuse me. And we've been doing this, or I started this radio show 3.5 years ago. And I believe, Rasheed, you were my first guest.
I think so.
Yeah, you helped me put together, and you were my first guest, the first show that I ever did, and it was really a lot of fun. And up until now, up until this year, it's always been audio. Now here we have the video version too that can be found on YouTube. So welcome everybody, and we're here to inspire you with ideas and tools and equip you and empower you so that you can reach your goals successfully and get around those potholes and detours that kind of get in our way. And Rasheed is a wonderful example of this journey, and I've been following him. We've been working together, I think, before you were in your 20s.
Yes.
And we've had a lot of fun. Over the years, what I've learned about Rasheed is that he's ambitious. He's motivated and ambitious, and he's inspired. And I think one of your biggest inspirations is to be making a difference in the lives of younger people. So,
oh yeah, definitely.
So we'll talk about that today. But let me tell everybody a little bit about you, Rasheed. He is truly an entrepreneur and a mentor in his own community, and he's a producer, branding and marketing expert. He believes that at the core of success, there are elements that help a person become successful. So we'll talk maybe a little bit about those elements, what they are. An image is based on a perception and how one sees the world and how the world sees them. You must believe in something, and you must have faith that no matter what goes on, everything is temporary, whether good or bad. And I love what he says here. Most people in the world seem to have dreams. I've been chasing the same dream since I was 9 years old. Wow, that's awesome. A dream that changed my life then and is manifesting itself now. And I've been watching it unfold. It's so exciting. And the dream went like this. A young black man in his 20s stepping out of a limo onto a red carpet with a beautiful girl on his arm. Now, you were 9 when you dreamed this, right?
Yes.
On his arm. The paparazzi is snapping away at the man smoothly and confident as the man smoothly and confidently walks down the carpet. Then he suddenly looks back at a reporter calling his name, Rasheed, Rasheed. And she yells out, I just have one question for you. How did you reach such heights of success with the passing of your father at such a young age? And the young man looks puzzled and looks around, and bam, the dream ends. And the 9-year-old boy lays awakened in his bed, crying, confused by and wondering about this dream with an unclear message. This message would soon be revealed, and after 2 weeks passed, he became fatherless. So you dreamed that before it ever happened. And from that point, your family life dynamic, everything changed. You had to move in with your aunt into like one room home with your aunt, and you had new schools, new situations, and it put you kind of right back into an arena with gangs and drugs and all of that, which you didn't want to be part of. And so I'm going to have you tell how you fought to stay out of that and what your heart was. And you've been so successful. And then what I really will spend a little time there. I really want to get to what's happened in this last year, this whole journey that you've gone on. So let's pop into that. So Rasheed, come and kind of finish the rest of that story for us before we go in and I pick your brain with some questions.
All right. So yeah, so my whole dynamic of what happiness is, what family is, what all these elements were to me at that young age, it really did change. And for those that have lost a parent at a young age, especially a father, what it does to a young man at that point, it throws that individual into a space of, okay, well, I know that one day I'll be a man, but what does it mean right now? And so it leaves gaps within the process of the journey. And for me, I was always looking for that guidance. And my mother is a great mother, but there are certain things that a mother can't teach a young man. And there's certain ways that in order to supplement the missing pieces in a young man's development, that a woman will overcompensate in certain areas for their child in order to be both of those parents. So for me, my mother was more the disciplinarian in that aspect in my young development. And really based on the relationship that I had with my father for those 9 years in which he was alive. He was really like my first coach. He was my first best friend. He was type of father and entrepreneur, go figure, that no matter what kind of day he had, no matter what was going on, he'd always come home. And sometimes, despite my mother being mad, he would always sneak me out of the house. We'd go to like an amusement park, or we'd go get some type of candy or some type of junk food and sit up late at night and watch cartoons. And so that was really his way of being there for me and really showing. And at the same time, he was also my first accountability person that would hold me accountable for things. And so even within those short years of him being with me, I still learned a lot. And there's certain characteristics, certain things that I still carry to this day, as far as that foundation that he did lay in my life. But going from being in a well-provided situation into where it isn't, you're now thrown into a position where your family is living paycheck to paycheck. Nothing is certain. You're placed in a position in which now everything that you know about life is almost in a jaded position, as far as like the way that people view you. They want to feel sympathy for you, but at the same time, they don't want to invest in you because of the tragedy in your life, because they're afraid that if they make that emotional commitment or investment into your life, then they're almost responsible in a way. But that's not the fact. Some people just want to know that you actually care. A good example of that was when I was in the 4th grade. This is the same year in which my father died. And I was held back. The same year that he died, I was held back in the 4th grade, and my friends went off to the 5th grade. And it's not that I was a bad student, but the thing about it is, like, after my father died, I was put in a place where I didn't want to do schoolwork. I didn't want to do anything. And the thing about it was that none of the teachers at the school even asked me, was I okay? Nobody asked me how I was doing. They almost like they knew what was going on, but they didn't want to acknowledge it. And so instead of giving me extra help and really helping me, they held me back in that grade. And so my friends went on, and it put me in a position where I was like, okay, well, I know I'm not dumb, but at the same time, I'm going through something. And so what that did, it really put me in a position where I was like, okay, well, if school doesn't care about me, I don't care about school. And so I started hanging out with the wrong friends, started doing the wrong things, started getting into trouble, all the way up until high school, where it's funny and ironic, as in the place in which teachers didn't care, and that was my perception of school. A teacher actually invested in me and changed the trajectory of where my life was going. So for me, the emotional investment into a person's life, even when they have little to none value of themselves, but somebody coming in and validating them, that is what truly put me on the path of, not only did I want to help businesses, but at the same time, I wanted to help the community and help others just like me find the people that wanted to be mentors in their life. And mentorship doesn't have to apply to business or to a skill set, but it really can apply to the emotional well-being of the individual and helping them get to the next level of their life. It's not a quantum leap. It's more the 2 steps that they need. And so for me, that right there is what set me up.
Well, and I know you said to me before, when you're following somebody or somebody's leading you or guiding you, helping you, they only have to be 2 steps ahead. You've said that before. They don't have to have already been super successful, the Jim Rohns and all of those big names that we've seen, or the pastors of huge churches or any of those. They just have to be 2 steps ahead. And you said it for you as a mentor, you really only need to be 2 steps ahead also to be able to turn around and help somebody. And that's what this show is all about, is really we're here to mentor other people that are on their journey and sometimes get a little side step, they get a little discouraged or they don't know what their next step is and they get a little stuck. We're here to help people through mentoring. Actually, this show, I think that's what this show is all about, is in a form mentoring. Well, real quick, tell us about how this now turned into the Night of Mentorship.
Okay, so how it evolved into the event Night of Mentorship, which is like my annual event, it evolved from the standpoint of I started encountering more and more mentors. And think about it, and let me just take a step back here. A lot of people always ask, how do you find a mentor?
Mm-hmm.
You can't just go and seek a mentor. You have to already be on a path in which the mentor can come and say, I see what you're doing, but let me help redefine you. Let me help put you in a better place. Let me help smooth the edges that you already have. Because a lot of times, and especially in this generation, people want to be given purpose. They want to be led all the way to the finish line instead of getting off the blocks and starting on a path. And so for me, I was already within the path of trying to build something. And so then that was when the mentor stepped in and gave me new direction on how to streamline the process of the journey. Not make it a smooth sailing, but really create systems into creating a business. And so when I started encountering these different mentors, I started encountering different versions of mentorship, as far as a spiritual mentor, a relationship mentor, a business mentor. And so I started encountering all these different things, but this type of mentor, everybody always had their different styles. But what was so impactful for me and what came as more of these common core things was image, belief, and mentorship, of course. And it's one of my favorite mentors that mentored me, and rest in peace, Ruben. He said something to me one time when I asked him, what is
Ruben Estrada, right?
Exactly. What does a mentee have to do in order for a mentor to help him at his fullest and best and highest level? And he said, in order for a mentor to mentor a mentee, the mentee must first tell the mentor what he needs. And within that whole statement, it comes down to, are you aware of who you are? Are you aware in your position of life to be transparent enough for the person that can help you get to the next level? Because it's not about doing it yourself. Because if your vision can only be carried out by you, it's not big enough. Your vision must be so big enough that it needs droves and teams of people in order to fulfill it. And that's true strength. That's true strength. Strength is in numbers. Because if it always relies on you, then there will always be cracks and things falling through. And that's something that I had to learn in the last 2 years that of my own development within my life and in my company also. And so Night of Mentorship came about from those mentors and really me just paying it forward.
And the Night of Mentorship is, and we'll just give a little overview because I really want to get into your Africa experience. But the Night of Mentorship is something that you've been doing for several years now, and you were reaching back to younger teenagers, well, not necessarily younger, but teenagers, to expose them to some of these amazing people that have been on their success journey. So share just a little bit, and then we'll click on over.
Okay, so really the reason why I wanted to do Night of Mentorship for these young individuals is because we're really right now, we're in a space in which everybody wants to be an entrepreneur because it's being publicized on TV, it's being promoted. You have people from different industries jumping into the entrepreneur space, as far as like athletes and singers and all these other people really just wanting to become entrepreneurs in this space of entrepreneurship, empire building. But what a lot of people don't understand is that there are steps that you have to take, and there's knowledge that you have to acquire in order to sustain. You know, I'm not the richest guy on the block. I'm not where I want to be, but at the same time, I have sustained and grown over the last couple of years. And a lot of people in my position would have went and got a job, or they would have quit, or they would have just say, well, if it didn't work out, I guess it just wasn't for me. Destiny has a way of working out. You know, they have all these false truths to try to justify their lack of wanting to endure. Because once you endure, you'll see that even the pain was temporary, and you'll start to see that short moment of pain, because pain cannot sustain for a long time. It's just what it is. There's more joy in the world than there is pain. And what people don't understand is that if you take a little pain, you'll smile more in life. But if you try to have more joy in life than pain, then it'll always go back to in that corner where you think to yourself, this just wasn't for me.
Yeah, it's a little more of an illusion, actually.
Exactly.
It's like a vapor, it just kind of puffs of smoke, like whew.
Exactly.
If you didn't build some substance within that growth where the joy comes from.
Exactly. Because with all things in life, you have to sacrifice. You either sacrifice purposefully or you sacrifice involuntarily. And I'd rather sacrifice purposely with a meaning behind it than to have to sacrifice just because I didn't have enough deposited in order to make the withdrawal when I needed to make the withdrawal. Because
well, sometimes that sacrifice is maybe giving up TV for a year to really pour into what your endeavor is about, or maybe that sacrifice, depending on what you're working on, let's say it's on health, your sacrifice may be giving up soda, something like that, but you do it with a great goal in mind, and you have to be consistent to get there. So that's part of that, I do believe. And you have to dive in. And I've watched you dive in and knuckle down, and you've been really consistent. Now I'm going to shift you, so you'll feel the shift. What really happened, I'm going to fill in a little bit of the blank. He has been consistently growing. Rasheed's been growing in his business, in his marketing business, and he serves a lot of people and serves them well. And he has a lot of aspects of that, everything from working in a TV station or show on a TV, or developing in a station, I guess you would. Yeah. And being a director and all of that. So he has a great aspect, or great variety of things that he can do. Well, last year he was working on building his business to the next level. So I love to tell this. I have to share this. So I said, Rasheed, let's build the package for the person. You know, build like in the Field of Dreams. You build it, they'll come. Build a big package. Let's pick a big person and build a package for that. That was on a Thursday. I don't know how far you got on building that package, but I feel like I got to be part of bringing this from the universe for you, from God to send it to you. All of a sudden, an African king on Tuesday shows up in your life. So from Thursday to Tuesday, and thinking about who the big package is going to be for and designing it, and it might not even been the same package, but all of a sudden you opened up space for something, I almost call it magical. I mean, it's amazing happen. So tell that a little bit. I might have made the little ruffle on the edges, but.
Well, what happened, and I definitely, let me preface it with this. Really just having a conversation with you and really going over the possibilities of leveling up, not just the business, but also myself. At that point, when you decide to level up, opportunity will show up. But the thing about it is that in order for you to take advantage of an opportunity, two things must first happen. One, you have to recognize that the opportunity is for you. And then two, you have to feel worthy of the opportunity. Because if you see an opportunity, you say, well, it's just not for me. And if you take on this opportunity and you say, well, I took on the opportunity, but didn't work out because you self-sabotaged it because you didn't feel worthy of it. And so for me, putting together this package for the next level, I got halfway through it, by the way. I got halfway through the and it was really about just feeling as if bigger opportunities are for me and making that energy shift that I can take on whatever comes my way. And so when I did that, opportunities started flowing. And the first opportunity was I was coming out of a meeting and I get a phone call, and it's from a state in which I have clients in different states, but this is a state that I had never touched before, and it was North Carolina. And I get a call from this lady, and the call opens up and says, His Majesty would like to would like to speak with you. And for me, I was like, what?
Yeah, really?
Yeah, like, okay, I didn't know any kings, like, so that was kind of weird for me. And so I was like, what? And so next thing you know, I have a man that would soon become a father figure to me, a mentor, and really just an impactful person in my life, get on the phone and tell me that he's heard about what I've been doing, and he wants to meet me, and he wants me to help him on a few things that he's working on. And so next thing you know, I have a plane ticket in my email, and I'm on a plane in less than 48 hours.
I know, that was such a shock.
Yeah.
I thought you were kidding when you told me. I thought you were kidding. Well, so you know what? We're gonna run out of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you to come back and do a part 2 to share the African story. Going to Africa. I mean, you've gone to North Carolina. We might finish that up here a little bit and then take that on into part 2, because this is so fascinating and I love the story and I love sharing your story with our audiences. So anyway, so let's talk a little more about what happened we've got like maybe about 4 more minutes. Let's share a little bit about what happened. You go to North Carolina, what happens?
Go to North Carolina, and I begin to just be mentored and be in the presence of this global leader, and he's done amazing things. And as far as like really building up people, and the thing that I've learned about him in this last year and couple months is that he's a leader of leaders. As far as like he's a collector of leaders, and there are no average people around him. And what he does is he builds up people, not only businesses but also people too. And the way and he comes from a spiritual background. He was a missionary, he's a pastor of church, and he's a business owner, and he owns businesses all over the world. And the thing about it is that to be able to see that, and for me, and be able to see that from a position of a young Black man, and it was so impactful. I mean, I know millionaires, I know very successful people, but to see it from not only from a cultural standpoint, but also the way that it's executed in every aspect, to me, that was the most impactful thing about it. And of course, I'll talk a little bit about the Africa trip later on, but it was really coming to a point in which can you be in the same space as greatness? I'm not just talking about the king. I'm talking about just in general. Can you be in the same room as greatness? Can you be in the same room as Bill Gates? Can you be in the same room as Elon Musk? Can you be in the same room as Mark Zuckerberg and not be intimidated, but at the same time still allow your gifts to flow? And so a lot of people can't do that. They'll either self-sabotage themselves, or they'll want to boast as if they're the greatest ever, instead of just sitting back and learning and being okay.
They get kind of show offy, kind of trying to draw attention.
Exactly. Just like in the 48 Laws of Power, never outshine the master. But the thing about it is that are you comfortable in your position to be in a position of lesser than in order for you to grow into a greater than? But a lot of people will not allow that to happen because they want to be bigger than life.
That's a great statement. Lesser than to be greater than.
And
That's great. Well, okay, we're getting close to the end here. Um, and I'm so excited for part 2 on this, really. So this we're going to do this right on the heels of this. But what I'm thinking is, you came back from North Carolina, and you're talking about being in the space with greats,
mhm.
and you're a sponge. I mean, you don't go and show off. You're just there, but you come with confidence, and people want to give into you, feed into you. But anyway, so you're in North Carolina. You're doing something on a radio station or a TV station. And then you kind of fly back to Austin, or not Austin, somewhere in Texas, Houston maybe. And now you're with Brian Tracy, right?
Yeah.
And Kyle Wilson, who was
Mhm.
the partner to Jim Rohn. So you moved from one grade into another grade just because you were coming back to California. Well, not just because, but you worked it in. So, I mean, you're traveling with the greats.
And that was an experience too. It's really not and as you know, Kyle Wilson is an amazing person. I mean, very generous person and really kind of heart, and really just really just watching him, how he mentors individuals, and how he works with their gifts, and he really gives exposure to who they are. And that's what I really learned being around, just being at the event and seeing Darren Hardy and Brian Tracy and all these other great speakers. For me, I've heard them before, but the thing about it is, what I'm always surprised when I get into those kind of spaces is that it's the people and the stories on how these individuals impacted them is what makes them great. Because when you're in that position, the way that your greatness and the way that your legacy is really shown is how special you make the people around you. And so these people, they can pinpoint the speech in which they heard Brian Tracy, or the talk in which they heard Darren Hardy, and then they can pull from that and be like, that was the very thing that changed the trajectory of my life. That statement, even though the speaker may have meant it for something else, that statement took on a whole new life and perspective that changed another person's life.
Well, we're going to bring that to an end right there, because that's a perfect ending right there. And we're going to come back with part 2. Thank you for being here today.
Definitely.
You want to share how people can get a hold of you? You have a website. You need to share that.
Yes. And so you can go to weareepiphany.com and check out what we have going on. We have a lot of events going on this year, and I'll talk about that in part 2 of what I'm doing this year, and really in the community, and really just helping share some of the knowledge that I've gathered over the years, and really just share some of the influencers that have influenced my life too.
Yeah. And then everybody, thank you for being here today too. Go check out claudiacooley.com. Go check out my website. Go check out the coaching tab, because in there I share all about my coaching programs, which Rasheed has been part of. And I get excited about watching people blossom out of that. So you'll want to check out the masterminds and the one-on-one coaching and the group coaching. So anyway, it's all there for everybody. So I'm glad you were here today. Thank you for joining us. Come back next Thursday for our business day for our next amazing speaker. And Rasheed, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
What an honor to have you here. So we will see you again soon, and we'll see all of you again soon too. Okay.